So I've been practicing mindfulness for about 6 years now. And I'm pretty sure that everybody here has probably heard of it at some stage. But do you really know what it is? A lot of people think that mindfulness is just meditation. But it's not. It's so much more. One definition of mindfulness is that it's taking conscious awareness of your present moment. It's valuing those little moments in life as they're happening. But why is that important? It's important to me because, sadly, I know the consequence of not valuing a moment as it happened. I'm going to share a few of my moments with you today, and some of them are big moments, but most of them are just simple, everyday moments that happened to change my life. And I'll start with that big one. Now, you might not remember where you were in May 2014, but I do. I was in the back garden of my brother's house, and the sun was shining. It was the day of my nephew Aaron's communion, and all of my family were there. Now, it mightn't sound like much to you, but it meant a lot to me. You see, there's 7 in our family. We're all grown up, and we didn't always get to see each other. But on that day, we were there. We actually joked that it was 10 years previous, at the same nephew's christening, that we last got a photo together. So that day, we decided to capture the moment. And I am so grateful that I can share with you today. That's my sister Fiona in the top left, and then Peter, my brother Mark in the middle, and that's me, and then Melissa. And of course, that's my parents down the front. Now look closely, because we captured something magical in that photo. Just down in the bottom right corner, that's my little girl Kira in her first ever photobomb. Now you're probably looking at me and you're saying, Stephen, it's a beautiful photo, but it's just a family photo. And if I'm honest, I didn't realize how valuable that moment was until about 2 months later. I was sitting at home and with my 2 girls, Roisin and Kira. My wife Amanda was upstairs when suddenly the phone rang. It was my dad. Now, there's nothing unusual about my dad ever ringing me, but it was the questions he asked me. That first question. Stephen, where are you? Well, it's not that unusual, but it's when he followed it up with the second one. Are you on your own? It was at that point that I was 5 seconds away from realizing why my dad didn't want me on my own. I was 5 seconds away from realizing my family's life would never be the same again. And I was 5 seconds away from realizing that this was the phone call you never want to get. My dad went on to explain to me that at 1:30 that day there'd been an accident. My brother Mark had been driving his motorbike on a main road when somebody just came out, but he didn't stop. There was a collision, and Mark didn't survive. I didn't know what to do. I ran upstairs to Amanda to explain, but words just wouldn't come out of my mouth. But she knew how serious that phone call was. This was Mark, my older brother, someone I always looked up to. Mark was the most amazing dad in the world. He was the coach on his son's team. For years, Mark and my dad ran the local electrical business. Everyone in the community knew Mark. So much so that at Mark's funeral, Father John that said the Mass was a close friend of Mark's. I was realizing in the aftermath of this just how important that moment was. I was becoming consciously aware. But it was too late. That moment was now just a memory. I share my story because what I did next might help you in your dark times. You see, I still had two little girls. Two little girls that want to know, why is Daddy crying all the time? For the first time in my life, my two girls are worried about me. So I had to do something. And that was when I remembered something a friend had been sharing. It was a thing called 100 Happy Days. Now, it might sound like an unusual thing to do a few weeks after your brother passed away, but I had to be positive even if I didn't know how. Now, anyone that's not familiar with the idea is that each day you take a picture, something that you're grateful for, and something that makes you smile. The first day, I was a bit nervous, so I shared a quote. Being optimistic isn't always being happy. It's taking what the world throws at you and saying, I'm not going to let it get me down. The next day, I shared my first picture. I was training for a half marathon at the time, and it was just a day to pick up the number. The next day, I just had a bowl of soup with my girls. But we were happy. The following day, I ran that race. And I got a personal record that day. The next day, I met friends for lunch. I went away with my wife. We had fun with the girls again. Some days are a lot harder than others to share. If I was to share the next day with you, it would be a picture of the day we brought my brother's ashes home. But it was a day that we were still together. And I was grateful. But I was also grateful for those two little cheerleaders. Because the following day, they wanted to cheer me up. So they brought me surfing. Barbie style. And so the journey continued. And each day I would take a picture of something that I was grateful for. Now don't get me wrong, these were very dark days. And in doing so, I wasn't hiding away from what was happening. I was opening my eyes and my heart to what I still had. As you can see, most of these moments are just simple, everyday moments with my family. But some of these moments were big. Like this day. This is the day my youngest daughter, Kira, got to share the news with the world. That she was going to be a big sister. And it continued. And I was noticing more and more as I continued in this journey that it wasn't the big moments. It was those simple, everyday moments that just captured my heart. And then, on the last day, I shared this picture. It's a picture of myself and my brother Mark. And it's cropped from that family photo that I showed you earlier. A family photo that at the time was just an insignificant moment at a party. But it turned out to be a truly significant moment to me because the reason I value that moment so highly, and the reason I consider it priceless, is that this is our last ever family photo. It's something that can never be repeated, but something you could never put a price on. Did you notice something else? Something about all those other images that I showed you? Each one was just an everyday moment. Simple things that happened each day. When it mattered, when it truly mattered. I didn't have to win the lotto or go on a cruise around the world to find my happiness. Happiness. Happiness is just a positive perspective. I invite you to think about your moments. Could you find a happy, grateful moment in your day? Would any of your moments be priceless? If I'm honest, the value of the moment doesn't matter. But valuing those moments does. It's what brought me back to the person I truly am and gave my girls back their dad. I'm going to leave you with my idea worth sharing. And it's a simple one. Just don't wait. Don't wait until your moments become memories, until you realize just how valuable they are. And then maybe, just maybe, we might bring conscious awareness to our present moment. Thank you.